If you are a green card holder living in the United States right now, this is a moment where you truly need to pause and pay close attention. This is not one of those updates you casually scroll past or listen to in the background. What you are about to hear has the potential to directly impact your green card status, your ability to travel outside the United States, and even your future eligibility for U.S. citizenship. These changes are real, they are active, and they matter far more than many people realize. Welcome to Alex Morgan, a channel created specifically to give immigrants clear, accurate, and practical information about U.S. immigration law. In today's video, we are not just talking about what has changed. We are breaking down why these changes matter, who they affect, and most importantly, what steps you should take to protect yourself. I strongly encourage you to watch this video until the very end because each section builds on the one before it. Missing even a single detail could mean missing something critical for your own immigration situation. Before we go any further, it's important to acknowledge how many of you may be feeling right now. When you hear phrases like new immigration law or changes to green card rules, it is completely normal to feel anxious, confused, or even scared. For many immigrants, a green card represents years of waiting, sacrifice, separation from loved ones, and relentless hard work. So when the rules change, it can feel like the ground is shifting beneath your feet. If your heart is racing or your mind is filled with questions, that reaction makes sense. Immigration law is complicated, and it often feels unforgiving. A single misunderstanding or missed requirement can carry serious consequences. But let me reassure you of something very important. The purpose of this video is not to scare you. The purpose is to give you clarity. Fear comes from uncertainty, and confidence comes from understanding. We are going to walk through these changes step by step, using plain language, without legal jargon, and without panic. You are not alone in navigating this. Millions of green card holders are facing the same questions right now. Take a breath, stay with me, and by the end of this video, you will have a much clearer picture of where you stand and how to move forward safely. Let's address the most important question first. Is this new law real? The answer is yes. This legislation has been officially signed and is already in effect. It is not a proposal, it is not a draft, and it is not something that might happen in the future. It is now part of how the U.S. government evaluates lawful permanent residents. This law represents one of the most significant shifts in green card oversight in many years. And what makes it especially important is that it does not only affect new applicants. It directly affects current green card holders, including people who have lived in the United States for decades. Under this law, the government has expanded how green card compliance is monitored, how residency is evaluated, and how enforcement decisions are made. Agencies that once operated more independently are now coordinating more closely. In simple terms, the government is paying closer attention to whether green card holders are meeting their obligations, not just on paper, but in real life. This does not mean your green card is suddenly in danger, but it does mean that the margin for error is smaller than before. Understanding the rules is no longer optional, it is essential. So, what does this law actually mean for you as a green card holder? At its core, it introduces higher expectations, tighter monitoring, and stronger enforcement standards. Lawful permanent residence is no longer treated as a passive status. It is now something that is actively evaluated over time. This law affects how your travel history is reviewed, how your financial stability is assessed, how your criminal history is interpreted, and how accurately you maintain your records with immigration authorities. Compliance now matters more than ever, and even small oversights, such as failing to update an address or misunderstanding travel limits, can have bigger consequences than they did in the past. These rules apply to everyone equally, whether you received your green card last year or 20 years ago. The goal of the law is consistency and enforcement, but for immigrants, that means you must be more intentional, more organized, and more informed than ever before. The good news is that most green card holders who live, work, and maintain strong ties in the United States can adapt without major issues, as long as they understand the rules and plan ahead. One of the biggest changes introduced by this law involves international travel and continuous residence. Under the new rules, travel patterns of green card holders are monitored more closely. Extended absences from the United States now trigger automatic review processes that did not exist before. If you leave the US for more than 6 months without proper preparation, your return may involve questioning, requests for documentation, or deeper examination of whether you truly maintain the United States as your permanent home. This does not mean travel is prohibited. Green card holders still have the right to travel internationally. However, long or frequent absences now carry more risk. Immigration officers may examine where you live, where you work, where your family is based, and where your financial ties exist. If the evidence suggests that your life is centered outside the United States, your green card status can be questioned. In serious cases, this can lead to findings of abandonment of permanent residence. The key takeaway is simple. Time spent outside the U.S. matters more than ever, and your intent must be clearly supported by evidence. Travel itself is not the problem. Patterns of travel are. If you consistently spend more time outside the United States than inside it, or if you take extended trips without proper documentation, you increase your risk under the new rules. One of the most important tools available is the re-entry permit, which helps demonstrate your intent to maintain permanent residence while temporarily abroad. Reviewing your travel history over the past 5 years is also critical. Look at how long your trips were, how often you traveled, and whether any absences exceeded 6 months. Proactive planning is far safer than reactive damage control. Another major change under this law affects financial history and public benefit use, particularly at the citizenship stage. Financial review during naturalization is now more detailed and may look back as far as 10 years in some cases. The focus is on whether an applicant has been primarily dependent on certain government assistance programs. This does not mean that using any benefit automatically disqualifies you, and most working, tax-paying green card holders will not be affected. However, certain types of long-term or cash-based assistance can raise concerns and may be considered negative factors during citizenship review. The key here is preparation, not panic. Strong documentation makes a real difference. Tax returns, employment records, bank statements, and proof of self-sufficiency help demonstrate financial stability and responsibility. If U.S. citizenship is part of your long-term plan, now is the time to organize your financial records and understand how your history may be evaluated. Preparation today can prevent serious problems tomorrow. Criminal history is another area where enforcement has become stricter. Good moral character is a requirement for maintaining status and applying for citizenship, and under the new framework, there is less discretion than before. The list of offenses that can negatively affect a green card holder has expanded, and even old or seemingly minor cases can resurface during reviews. These reviews are most commonly triggered during international travel, citizenship applications, or other interactions with immigration authorities. This does not mean that everyone with a past issue is automatically at risk, but assumptions are dangerous. Arrests without convictions, dismissed cases, or minor offenses from years ago can still become issues under the new standards. The most important rule is this: if you have any criminal history at all, do not travel internationally and do not apply for citizenship without legal guidance. Filing an application can trigger a full background review, and once that process begins, it cannot be undone. In some cases, applying for citizenship can expose issues that lead to serious consequences, including removal proceedings. The law also places much greater emphasis on documentation accuracy and ongoing compliance. Green card holders are now expected to keep all information fully up to date at all times. Address changes are especially critical and must be reported within 10 days. Failing to do so can result in fines and may be used as a negative factor in enforcement decisions. Employment information and personal status changes, such as marriage or divorce, must also be accurate. Even carrying your physical green card is being enforced more strictly than before. To turn all of this into action, start with a simple checklist. Update your address if you have moved and have not reported it. Check your green card's validity and begin renewal or replacement early if needed. Review your travel history for long or frequent absences. Organize your financial documents, including tax records and proof of employment. If you identify any red flags, such as long absences, benefit use, or criminal history, seek professional advice before taking any immigration action. Preparation now prevents emergencies later. Despite what you may see on social media, there are no mass green card cancellations and no automatic deportations happening simply because this law passed. Green card holders have not lost their fundamental rights. What has changed is enforcement, not eligibility. Acting on misinformation is often more dangerous than the law itself. Lawful permanent residents who understand the rules, stay organized, and rely on credible sources can continue their lives normally. Many people are asking whether they should apply for citizenship now. Citizenship does offer long term protection and stability, but it is not the right move for everyone. Extended travel, financial concerns, or criminal history can complicate the process. Applying for citizenship opens your entire immigration history to review, and this decision must be made strategically, not emotionally or out of fear. If this update feels overwhelming, remember this: you are not alone. Millions of immigrants are navigating these same changes. Knowledge is protection. When you understand the rules, you reduce fear and regain control. This law exists to enforce standards, and standards can be met with preparation and awareness. Stay informed, stay compliant, and stay confident in your journey. If this video helped you understand your situation better, subscribe to Alex Morgan. Share this information with family and friends who may need it, and turn on notifications so you never miss important updates. Staying informed is no longer optional. It is part of protecting your future.